I'm Erica Sussman, and I'm the editor of Carrier of the Mark.
And I'm Tina Wexler, and I represent Lee Fallon.
And we're going to answer your top 5 questions. So the first question, what turns you off in a story?
For me, it would be when nothing seems to happen. When the character doesn't leave the room. There's not enough action. It's too internal. I want to have access to the character's thoughts and feelings and emotions, but I also want to know that stuff's going to happen.
Yeah.
There's going to be an adventure. Something.
I totally agree. And I feel like something for me is characters who don't feel real or relatable. So I'm reading about somebody, but I'm like, no one would ever do this.
Yes.
This doesn't feel right. Or when the dialogue feels like it's being pulled out of nowhere and people are only talking to get information across.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't quite feel real.
Yeah. So then, follow-up question would be, what is the number one thing that you look for in a book?
I mean, for me, it's a voice that is so compelling, you can't stop turning the pages. Some kind of world, whether it be a totally realistic world or a paranormal world, that just feels like fully formed and realized, and something where you can picture yourself in it and you're just going along. You know, I just look for books and characters that I can't put down.
Yeah, I think voice is the hardest thing for people to
I agree.
really understand, because it's as simple as and as complicated as the words you use and how you use them. But it makes such a big difference how using shorter sentences or longer lyrical sentences can really change the tone and feel of your book and really get an emotional response from someone because of that.
And I feel like that goes back to looking for characters who are real.
Yes.
Because if it has a strong voice, then you get it and you love it and you're there with them, even if they're on some wacky adventure that could never really happen.
Exactly.
So this is a question specifically for Tina. Where specifically should we look to find an agent?
I think the easiest way to find an agent is to look in the acknowledgement section of the books that you're reading. They will have thanked their agent most times. And if it's a book that's similar to yours in theme and content and style, then that is a good indicator that that agent's going to be looking for stuff that's similar to that. I mean, the internet is a great resource, and of course all of those other things, but that seems like the easiest way and the quickest to start doing. Just go through your books on your bookshelf.
And it seems like you guys, as agents, must appreciate when writers have looked at books that are similar to theirs, and so they can sort of say, I understand, I see that you liked this book, and my book has these similar qualities.
Definitely. It shows you've done your research. It shows that you're actually reading in the market, which is really important. Not enough people actually seem to be reading, but they're writing, and you can't be a good writer without reading.
Yeah, that's key.
Yeah.
That should have been, that should have been another question. And another question for you. When reading what people have sent in to you, query letters and such, would you rather it be their own voice and personality and being totally honest and upfront, or strictly professional while giving direct information?
That's a good question. I think it's about striking a balance. I want that personality to come through because it's a personal relationship, and I think that if you're just presenting the facts, the story's not going to sound that interesting. But at the same time, if your personality is... We love big personalities, but if it's really crowding out that information, if it's blocking me from actually seeing what it is that you're querying me for, you're doing yourself a disservice. So it's just about finding a balance, of letting me into who you are and your personality and all that, but not having this be a query about you. It's not Match.com. I don't know what it is. It's query.com. Oh, last question. What was it about Carrier of the Mark that made it stand out on Inkpop and ultimately earned it a publishing contract?
I mean, I feel like this goes back to the first few questions we answered. When I started reading Carrier of the Mark, I was so swept up in Ireland and Megan's voice and Megan's romance with Adam, and Lee Fallon developed this really unique brand of magic that just worked. It was really exciting and interesting, but so grounded in reality. So I really felt like I was in Ireland. It was beautifully set. All the supporting characters were really likable. It just kind of swept me up, and I knew it was a story that had a lot to say.
Yeah, I love fish out of water stories, so that immediately got me hooked. I love the relationship between Megan and her father.
Oh, yeah.
That just,
Yeah.
But then there's this really sexy, like, dangerous forbidden love story, which everyone loves.
Yeah.
At least
So
they
true.
should. And so it's like, and I hadn't seen this, this elemental power. I hadn't really seen that before.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that it's done, I mean, that first scene where, I don't know if I should say, but that first scene with the moths is so gorgeous.
Oh, yes,
It's
the moth scene.
It's like,
if they haven't read it, yeah.
it's magical.
Yeah,
And it had that effect.
Actually, that's true. I feel like it's magical. Everything sort of about it is just, it has this sparkle of magic around it. That
I mean, even the setting has that. But
Yeah.
it's just, it's not a fantastical setting. It's,
No, it's
Ireland,
very
but
realistic.
But it is, there's something about it that makes me want to hop on a plane right now.
Yeah, yes, I agree.